Happy Halloween from KOIN TV6.
A catastrophic toll in Central America. Floods and mudslides from Mitch's rains have pushed the death toll into the thousands. Defiant again, Saddam Hussein rejects further UN arms inspections. And Paula Jones receives a $1 million check, payable when she settles with President Clinton.
This is the CBS Evening News with Paula Zahn.
Good evening. On this Western edition, the numbers seem almost impossible to comprehend. The death toll in Central America from what was Hurricane Mitch could now be as high as 2,000. The most desperate situation is in Nicaragua, where officials report an extinct volcano has collapsed near the town of Chinandega, burying an estimated 1,000 people in their homes. Rains continue to fall, flooding rivers and making rescue efforts nearly impossible. Floods and mudslides also washed away houses in neighboring Honduras. Hundreds of thousands of people had to evacuate. Water rose to the third floors of buildings in some places and destroyed most bridges in the Honduran capital. Iraq today triggered another confrontation with the United Nations by refusing to cooperate further with weapons inspectors, as it agreed to do last February. National security officials met at the White House and then issued a statement saying, quote, "All options remain on the table." Mark Phillips is monitoring the situation from London.
The Iraqi regime has been orchestrating a campaign to have international sanctions against it lifted. Essentially, it wants to be able to export oil again. Today, a solemn newsreader on Iraqi television announced that Saddam Hussein was taking matters into his own hands and again precipitating an international crisis. The United Nations mission, UNSCOM, which has been monitoring Iraqi installations to try to make sure they're not developing nuclear or other weapons of mass destruction, was today barred by Baghdad from carrying out its duties.
We've decided to stop all of our cooperation with UNSCOM and ask their inspectors to leave the country.
For now, though, the UN inspectors are staying put. The UN Security Council condemned the Iraqi action, but there's been no decision on any response. And if one former weapons inspector is to be believed, Saddam Hussein may be about to get away with thumbing his nose at the UN again.
The United Nations Security Council, as it currently exists, is incapable of confronting Saddam in any meaningful fashion. And the members of the Security Council, especially the United States and the United Kingdom, are incapable of carrying out any unilateral activity that would be effective.
Iraq's decision is a calculated gamble that the political will to confront Baghdad no longer exists, and that concessions can be had by challenging the UN rather than cooperating with it. Whatever the outcome, another crisis is underway. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
Back here at home, another odd chapter in the story of Paula Jones' sexual harassment suit against President Clinton. She got a big check today, but with a big string attached. As Jonathan Freed tells us, she'll first have to reach a deal with the president's lawyers.
On the day dedicated to tricks and treats, Paula Jones arrived in Washington to celebrate a decidedly sweet deal. Jones finally came to terms with New York businessman Abe Hirschfeld. Big terms, a check for $1 million. The catch? Jones gets to cash it only if she settles her sexual harassment lawsuit against President Clinton.
First of all, I want to say it was an honor to meet you, a pleasure to meet you, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hirschfeld claims he's offering the money as a concerned citizen who wants to put the case to rest for the good of the country.
We now hope that the president will sit down and negotiate in good faith.
But the president's lawyer, Robert Bennett, has made it clear that Mr. Clinton wants to keep a distance from Hirschfeld, who is facing charges of tax evasion. The White House reluctance prompted the millionaire to take back his offer just last week. What changed between the time that you withdrew your offer and today?
That the lawyers of Paula Jones have, in my opinion, a 99% concluded an agreement with the other side.
But if that's the case, no one was admitting it from the president's camp. Mr. Clinton kept it official at a pre-election event, promoting the need for more school construction. Jones's legal bills are estimated at more than $2.5 million. She needs this money, but if no deal can be reached with the president, her benefactor has made clear this Halloween treat will turn into a pumpkin. Jonathan Freed, CBS News, the White House.
This was another busy day in orbit for John Glenn. He performed more experiments, and as Cheryl Atkinson shows us, he played teacher for some very lucky kids back home.
On John Glenn's third day in space,
2 hours and 5 minutes, over.
he completed work on a biomedical research project. He also provided the chance of a lifetime for some students, the chance to ask questions of a living legend while he's making history. From John Glenn High School in New Concord, Ohio.
Senator Glenn, was it worth waiting 36 years to be able to fly in space again?
Yes. A one-word answer, I guess I should just stop there.
And from Columbus, Ohio.
Senator Glenn, do you feel younger when you're in space?
I guess I feel young all the time. That's the reason I volunteered to come up here. But it's a great place up here, and I'm having a great time.
But it's not all fun and games. As the subject of research on aging, Glenn gave blood samples today, and he's still dealing with the physical effects of weightlessness, which were evident when he spoke from space yesterday.
I guess I'm still a little round-faced here today, and that comes from the fluid body shift that occurs.
It's no concern at all. This is absolutely normal. It's a natural byproduct of being in weightlessness as fluids shift upward, and it's really one of the only ways you can even tell John Glenn is in orbit. He obviously is feeling no ill effects. He's not been sick, and I think the medical is by all that.
The big question is how Glenn will withstand the rigors of readjusting to gravity upon his return. But it's a risk he was more than willing to take for this chance to go back in space. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News at Mission Control in Houston.
And still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, hundreds of thousands in Israel mark a grim anniversary. Also, the long shadow of past abortion clinic attacks. And trick and treat. Creepy creatures with surprising medical benefits for humans.
Hi, Tom Bodette. Well, this is what I looked like back when I was new. And this is a new room at Motel 6. When I was new, a new room at Motel 6. Cute, huh? I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Hi, how you doing? Here you go. Thanks. Yes, sir, you got it.
Regis, I've never done this before, but I'm such a huge fan. If I could just have an autograph.
Sure. To who?
To Jim.
Jim.
It's Beverly, the little lady from Washington Mutual.
Everybody? What about Regis? This is out of control.
Let Washington Mutual make a fan out of you. Washington Mutual. Join the club.
Here's what the renovated rooms at Motel 6 look like when you're sleeping and when you're awake. Asleep, awake. Strobe light. Sorry, I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Israel is resisting putting the newest peace agreement into effect until the Palestinians get tougher on terrorists. The plan is supposed to go into effect on Monday. In Israel, Jesse Schulman reports that thousands remembered a man who gave his life for peace.
For the third year in a row, hundreds of thousands of Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv's main square to remember the murder of Yitzhak Rabin. And for the third year in a row, they've used the occasion to rally for peace. But this year, for the first time, there's a bit of hope mixed with the sorrow.
The people gathered here, members of Israel's peace camp, have come to honor their slain leader. But they're feeling a sense of vindication now that Prime Minister Netanyahu has signed a peace accord Rabin himself would have approved of. Ironically, it's the West Bank Jewish settlers who are feeling shocked and demoralized.
Welcome.
Settler Toba Frankel was a Netanyahu supporter, believing he would prevent the handover of West Bank land to the Palestinians. Times have changed.
Bibi isn't selling just us down the drain. He's selling all the people of Israel down the drain.
On the fringes of the settler movement, extremists go even further, calling Netanyahu a traitor to the sacred cause, which is exactly what they called Rabin in the days before he was murdered. Caught with their guard down 3 years ago, Israel's version of the Secret Service isn't taking chances. Now, even when Netanyahu appears before his own party, he's surrounded by a ring of security the likes of which this country has never seen. For those who support the peace process, it's a strange twist that Benjamin Netanyahu, once Rabin's fiercest political opponent, is now inching along the former prime minister's path and picking up some of the same enemies along the way. Jesse Schulman, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
An abortion clinic in Wichita, Kansas today received another apparent anthrax threat. The envelope was similar to ones received by 4 clinics yesterday. So far, the threats appear to be a hoax, but neighbors are worried about the potential danger of anti-abortion extremists. In Buffalo, New York, there was a rally to remember Dr. Barnett Slepian, an abortion provider who was murdered in his home last week. Police have made no arrests, but believe it was related to attacks on 4 other doctors in the U.S. and Canada. The aggressive and violent campaign against abortion clinics and providers has touched many lives. And as Elizabeth Callanan reports, it has left a legacy of fear among those who found themselves the targets.
It's been nearly 4 years since John Salvi opened fire on 2 Boston abortion clinics, killing 2 people and wounding 5. A day burned into Richard Saron's memory.
When you're in a near-death experience, time seems to slow down. Sounds become distorted. You feel as if you're in a dream, a bubble.
As the security guard at the 2nd clinic, in an exchange of gunfire, Saron was wounded but forced Salvi to flee the scene. He saved lives, and as a result, feels his own is in danger.
Are you armed at all times?
Definitely. I never leave the house without having a sidearm, and I keep one right near my bed on the night table.
He never opens his blinds, has a $5,000 home security system, and wouldn't even speak to us until we showed our CBS ID.
Why do you feel that you would be a likely target?
I believe that by stopping John Salvi's plan for mass murder, I probably stand as a symbol in the eyes of the most extreme factions in the pro-life movement.
In fact, along with doctors and nurses who perform abortions, Richard Saron's name appears on this website, a list of foes of the extreme right-to-life movement. In his mind, it's a warning that in the current climate, anyone even associated with abortions is at risk.
I wouldn't call it a life of fear. I'd call it informed concern.
For his bravery at the Boston abortion clinic, Richard Saron was awarded a symbolic life preserver.
We owe you our lives.
Now, even though he's retired, he feels he must always look over his shoulder in an effort to preserve his own. Elizabeth Callanan, CBS News, Boston.
Just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the high-stakes gamble over California's Prop 5.
Have you seen these islands? Have you seen the beauty of this land? Have you seen the ocean? Miles and miles of crystal deep blue seas. You love these islands. Nothing in the world can compare. This is aloha. This is aloha. This is aloha. This land of
You can't control Mother Nature. Experts report that weather patterns are changing fast, making it harder for anyone to say, a flood can't happen to me. In fact, in the last few years, floods have hit all 50 states. Thousands of victims learned too late that homeowners insurance doesn't cover floods, but national flood insurance does. Even weather experts can't outsmart Mother Nature. So call your insurance agent, or for free information, call this number now.
Meet Skip Away. He's ranked one of the best racehorses of all time. What makes this horse so special? Join Charles Osgood this Sunday morning.
A new poll indicates California's bitter Senate race is simply too close to call. It puts Democrat Barbara Boxer just 2 points ahead of Republican Matt Fung. That is a statistical dead heat. Another poll earlier this week gave Boxer a 9-point lead. Also on the California ballot is a proposition to expand gambling on Indian reservations that has become the most expensive in state history. The two sides will have spent more than $100 million to persuade voters. Vince Gonzalez shows us what's riding on those big bets.
Before California's Morongo Indians had gaming, life on the reservation was harsh. But not anymore. The Morongo became casino operators and are now one of California's wealthiest tribes. Each member receives $100,000 a year in gambling profits.
We've done more for our people on this reservation than the federal government has done in the last 300 years.
But the state government says the tribes never got the necessary permission to operate slot machines and now wants them to shut down. To fight back, the tribes launched a state ballot initiative called Proposition 5 that would legalize their slot operations.
Nothing has ever been given to the Native American. We've had to fight for everything we've gotten.
Opponents of Prop 5 say this time it's the Indians who aren't playing by the rules.
We're talking about a very small number of people who have a very large amount of money trying to preserve a very special deal for themselves, and it's not fair.
Opponents of the proposition say the stakes are high. They worry it will do a lot more than just protect already existing casinos like this one. They say it will promote gambling all over California, a state where casinos already bring in $1 billion a year. But that kind of money means the tribes have the clout and the cash to get voters' attention. They're spending millions on an ad campaign with a simple message. Indian gaming equals Indian self-reliance.
On reservations with tribal casinos, unemployment has been cut by nearly 50%.
The anti-Prop 5 campaign is primarily funded by the deep pockets of the Nevada gambling industry, who fear the competition from next door could cost them millions.
It could bring over 100 new casinos to tribal land.
Prop 5 has become a hot-button issue in California and is shaping up as the most expensive initiative fight ever. But like all controversial issues, voters may not have the last word.
Whatever happens, whether the voters approve it or don't approve it, it's going to wind up in the courts, and it will be in the courts for years.
But the vote still comes first, and polls show most Californians see this as a symbolic opportunity to give something back to Native Americans by letting them cash in on their gambling profits. Vince Gonzalez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Next up on the CBS Evening News, one-on-one with a conservative star, Oklahoma Congressman J.C. Watts.
We wanted to leave a better world for our kids. We're sure leaving a different one. But they understand it better than I ever could. Like electronics. To my son, it's second nature. That's why he picked ITT Tech. He can earn an associate's degree in electronics engineering technology in 2 years. It's their world now. And it's in good hands.
Take control with a degree from ITT Tech. Call 1-800-ITT-TECH.
By the end of the week, 7 more lives will be saved. By the end of the day, 16 people who couldn't walk will. By the end of the hour, these special filters will help make 25,000 more gallons of water ready for drinking. And by the end of this message, 1 more premature baby will be protected. All of which is made possible with the help of a material we call plastic.
Thanks, Shirley. You know, Tony, I've been thinking about life insurance again. We pay more for this coffee than we would for extra coverage.
She's right. You know, you can get good life insurance for 39 cents a day.
Probably from someone I never heard of.
Mutual of Omaha. United of Omaha, one of the Mutual of Omaha companies, has a plan where your payments never go up and your benefits never go down.
Good company. But I bet you still have to take a physical.
No. And before you ask, you won't be turned down and your coverage can't be canceled.
How much? And don't talk to me in units.
No units. With this, you know what you're getting. Up to $20,000 worth of coverage.
What, do you work for him, Cheryl?
Actually, we bought the plan before Harry passed away. My husband had this great gift for always listening to me.
Smart guy, huh, Tony?
Call 1-800-428-0400 for your free information. That's 1-800-428-0400. Call now, 1-800-428-0400.
Closing days for Campaign 98. How will the Senate races play out? We'll talk to Senators Bob Kerrey and Mitch McConnell and a panel of experts with Bob Schieffer on Face the Nation Sunday.
4 years have passed since J.C. Julius Caesar Watts first won election to Congress. And as the lone African-American Republican member, he plays a groundbreaking role in the GOP. And that's tonight's one-on-one. Family man and conservative icon, J.C. Watts of Oklahoma.
It's easy to kind of get entangled in the policy battles and what goes on in Washington, that it becomes a real chore to get home. And I'm proud of the fact that I've gotten home every weekend over the last 4 years.
Commuting from Washington, D.C. to Oklahoma is a way of life for two-term Congressman J.C. Watts, a life not without sacrifice. Watts has 5 children at home, ranging in age from 7 to 22.
I don't think you do it for any great length of time, make the sacrifices that I've made, that others have to make. But that's a personal choice. I would not want to do that for 20 or 30 years.
What have you given up?
I've found out about some special thing at school that one of my children did in baseball, or basketball, or soccer. I found out about many of those things by way of phone. So you do give up some pretty special things.
Watts has found a comfortable home in the Republican Party, but he knows there are some who have different expectations for him. You have been publicly criticized by civil rights leaders for being too conservative. What do you make of their specific criticism?
When I went from Democrat to Republican, many of those same civil rights folks saw me as a hero. You know, when I was a football player and touting those values and those principles, I was a hero. But when you get in politics and you proclaim those same values that I proclaimed as a Democrat, then you become a prop. So, you know, that's a part of the game. I want the same results that those civil rights leaders that they want. I just think we need to use different models in getting there.
So do you think you're pigeonholed because of your race?
I didn't join the Congressional Black Caucus. That shocked this city when I didn't join the CBC, because they thought because I was black, I should belong to the Congressional Black Caucus. Why? I don't care to take on the group identity, to say that because you're black, you have to think a certain way. Because you're conservative, you have to think a certain way.
The Southern Republican Leadership Conference picked you as its #1 choice for a vice presidential candidate on the GOP ticket. What do you think of that?
I think that's about like going to buy a tie and then saying, I'm going to get a suit to match it. You know, that's a fun thing. That was a fun thing, and I was flattered by that. But, you know, Paula, sometimes you can get on this political treadmill, and it's very difficult to get off. And I really do. I really am conscious about not doing that. So I don't know what the future holds, but it'll be interesting.
I bet it will. In addition to his Washington duties, Congressman Watts is also a Baptist minister. And when time permits, he enjoys his role serving as a guest preacher at churches all over the country.
Walk right in, sit right down. Daddy, let your mind roll on.
Remember when folk songs were heard all across America?
Oh, no, don't let the rain come down.
At last, you could get all your favorite folk songs in one complete collection. The Time Life Treasury of Folk Music.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head.
You'll hear songs that bring back memories.
So here we are in the Tijuana.
Songs that touch your heart.
We'll sing in the sunshine. We'll laugh every
Songs that will live forever.
my God, roll the boat ashore. Hallelujah.
The Time Life Treasury of Folk Music. 30 classic songs that take you back to a very special time.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time past.
You'll hear legendary artists like the Kingston Trio and Harry Belafonte.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want.
So come and sing along.
I had a hammer in the morning.
You'll cherish these songs forever.
Breeze swaying in the summer breeze, showing off
The Time Life Treasury of Folk Music is not in stores, so please call now.
To order Treasury of Folk, call 1-800-325-4343. That's 1-800-325-4343. Or send $19.99 for 2 cassettes or $24.99 for 2 CDs plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Treasury of Folk, Department 1, Richmond, Virginia. Or call 1-800-325-4343.
Using prisoners for medical experiments? You heard right, at this very prison. But the doctor says no long-term harm was done.
I was used. My legs. Look, both legs. Look at my arms.
How could this happen, and who will answer for it? Eye on America investigates Monday on the CBS Evening News.
It is, of course, the night for ghoulies and ghosties and long-legged, that is, beasties and things that go bump in the night. Halloween is the time when we confront scary creatures. So our intrepid Eric Engberg went to the National Aquarium in Baltimore to meet close up some of nature's deadliest creepers.
Meet the eyelash viper. His gorgeous color and hypnotic grace belie his lethal nature. He's just one stop on a terrifying tour of the world's deadliest creatures. The brave, you might say crazy man handling the South American fertile ants is curator Jack Cover.
To me, this is just something you do every day.
Okay. The fertile ants, which Jack just dropped, produces a venom that could kill a man Jack's size in about 30 minutes. Still, Cover is convinced that venomous creatures like the fertile ants, or this giant Peruvian centipede, or even this rattlesnake, get a bad rap.
They're like any other animal. They would rather avoid a confrontation with the human if possible.
The exhibit teaches that venomous is not the same as poisonous. Venomous animals, like this Mexican beaded lizard, use fangs or stingers as weapons to inject venom into animals they are hunting or the animals that are hunting them. But creatures that are merely poisonous, like these dart frogs, have no delivery system for their poisons. They're dangerous only if they themselves are eaten. But we humans somehow overlook the natural benefits of animals like the black mamba, perhaps the exhibit's most dangerous specimen.
It has the unfortunate combination of a very strong venom and a very short temper.
Untreated, you might last 15 minutes after being bitten by this guy, but he would only bite you if you invaded his territory. That's one of the points of the exhibit. And their natural poisons can be put to good use. The Gila monster's venom, for example, may soon be used to treat adult-onset diabetes. This innocuous cone snail produces what may be ounce for ounce the most lethal venom of all, which could be turned into a new synthetic painkiller by year's end. So don't hate the emperor scorpion, or its deadlier cousin, the Arizona bark scorpion. They mean you no harm. And don't revile the gaboon viper, which can use his 2-inch fangs to devour a small antelope. If you don't bother them, they won't bother you. Promise. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Baltimore.
And I don't think I'll be testing that promise anytime soon. That is the news for tonight. Tomorrow on the CBS Evening News, he is over 80, running marathons, and he's not alone. That means a lot for the rest of us. Also tomorrow on Sunday morning, the fight over the environment. Then on Face the Nation, the final weekend of Campaign 98. I'm Paula Zahn, CBS.